I just want to focus on just a few words in that reading from the message from John's Gospel. God has moved into the neighbourhood. He's moved into the neighbourhood in the frail and vulnerable tent of humanity, exposed to the elements and the mercies of the whims of human nature. God became human. That's what the prologue is all about. And he pitched his tent among us. God has moved into the neighbourhood. And as a result, we learn that in the incarnation, that God is not some theological doctrine, but a relationship. Jesus is not a principle, but a person. He has moved into the neighbourhood. So we can't talk about Jesus in the abstract. He's not some story that we wheel out just for the kids at Christmas and possibly at Easter. Jesus has moved into the neighbourhood. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. God does not exist in some pristine, ethereal space. Some people think that God is like a divine watchmaker, just set the earth going and then just distance himself from it and just watches it go along its own business without interfering at all. But the whole point of Christmas is that God lowers his defences to death in order to share in the human condition. Vulnerability is the very condition of solidarity. God as a baby is a terrifying risk, attended by genuine danger, in which all hope for the universe comes to be invested within the most vulnerable human thing imaginable, a pathetic, helpless child. What the prologue points out to us in John's Gospel is that God has gone all in, not just in the skin game, though this is as good a summary of the incarnation as I can imagine, but everything in. There are no safety nets, no vaccinations against the risk of disaster. God invests in us at the moment of extreme danger. And I'm sorry if this sounds a bit too much and gets easily ridiculed, but Christmas is God's response to the cry, "Please help me." A cry that I'm far alone from making. Far from alone in making. He knows this neighbourhood. He knows the loneliness. He knows the grieving. He knows the fears and the anxieties. He knows how we are hurting. And he knows when we rejoice. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. God has moved into the neighbourhood. He's pitched his tent here in Laughton, in Thurcroft, in Morthen. He is Emmanuel, God with us. And this is the incredible message of Christmas. Something that we celebrate here this morning, that the Word in becoming flesh has dwelt among us. That God is in the neighbourhood. God is with you and with me. So whatever, as we embark on this new year, whatever our joys, whatever our sorrows, whatever our hopes, whatever our fears might be for this forthcoming year, the Word has become flesh and dwells with us. God has not forgotten us. That's his promise. He is alive. He has intervened. He has a plan. And that plan changes how we should see the rest of our lives. God has made his home in our world and lives with us. He lives with us through the gift of his Holy Spirit, something that we heard about from the reading from Ephesians. And it makes all the difference, or it should make all the difference, how we go about to live this forthcoming year, knowing that we are not alone and that he understands. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. So if you need God's love for 2021, then be assured that you have it. If you need God's comfort for 2021, then allow him to put his arms around you. If you need God's challenge for 2021, then respond simply by turning to him. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And this is the greatest truth any of us need to hear. And it's something that we can celebrate this morning, tomorrow, next week, next month, and for the rest of the year. Amen.